Okay, so now I'm gonna use a spot healing brush tool, and I'm gonna start making some repairs right around the nose area. And oops, that's on create texture. Let's change it back to content aware. And in the nostril area, I need to make some changes. And see, that doesn't really work so well, so I'm going to undo it. And I think let's try using the lasso tool, and let's see what happens. Let's see if we go up to fill and we choose content aware. That seems to work for that part of the nostril. This part, however, I think I'm going to use the patch tool, because I'm afraid that the pixels nearby and surrounding it are going to blur it too much, because the value change is so severe, or it's such a shallow area where the value goes from sort of dark to light, that I think sometimes it works better whenever I can specifically tell it what values and textures I want. And then this is a little blurry where I fixed it before with the spot tool, spot healing brush, and that looks a little better because then it actually reproduces some texture. Same as down here. I'll clean that up a little. I think that's better looking. Okay, and then so if you come back over here, you start to see some of this stuff where, the texture is just not quite there, but I think it's going to be okay when we blow the thing or zoom the thing back out to 100%. Let's choose the spot healing tool. I'm going to change the brush size to start to address, and some of the hardness too, to start to address some of this area. And for some reason it keeps grabbing create texture. So I'll use proximity match in this case because it'll take proximity of those little textured pixels and it doesn't look quite so blurry. All right, and so that's working for me in some of these spots. Let's see how we'll fare with that down here in the lip area. I'm going to try the patch tool so I can choose larger sections, and I think that actually might also be good in helping me recreate the proper textures. You can see some of the lines that go with the grain of the skin and the lip, and so I need to make sure that I recreate those properly. So I'm using the clone tool here. And I'm turning the opacity up because I don't want to layer it and make it too soft looking with low opacity. Sampling, clicking. Okay, you can see that I'm not straying too terribly far using this clone tool. I'm not straying too terribly far away from the source of my samples so that it maintains a good look. And I'm lowering my brush size because some of this I just can't quite get with a large brush. Let's focus down here at the bottom. I'm going to come back for some of that other damage that's inside the lip. Like I said, I like to focus on different things so that I don't get too bogged down in one section, and then that way I can start to see how the whole thing is starting to look as it's coming together. Generally a pretty good approach. I have to be careful while I'm filling this in. I can't fill it in too much, so otherwise it'll start to look really messed up and patchy. So let's take a peek over here. This part of the lip, we'll start to fix that with the clone tool. Take a larger sample. Actually turn the opacity all the way up. Inside the lip, I can take a sample. And then in the lip, we're going to do the same, where we take larger clone samples. And that, I think that looks pretty good for that part of the lip. And I'm going to lower the brush size significantly so I don't overproduce the lip in the bottom right corner. You got to be really careful to, if you're going to continue the grain of the lip properly, you've got to be really careful to keep the alignment correct. And here I think that the content aware fill is going to work really nicely in that one last section. Okay, and then let's jump now over here to just under the right side of the face, under the eye. This is a problem where it was overexposed, and so the damage kind of that came through on that was extremely harsh. And so what we can do is we can kind of blur it slightly. Oh, and what I did was I lowered the opacity and I made it a lighter filter, and then now I can go with the dodge tool and lighten it some more with a lowered exposure of 22%, and you notice that I'm lowering the shadows, and just by doing that I soften up that part of the face and make it look more realistic, and we're good that. You don't want to just actually remove it, because then you'll literally lose all the information. It doesn't look realistic either. But now we need to kind of reproduce some of this texture in the side of the face so that we can get rid of this the damage from where the edge of the film was exposed and produced. And here I'm just clicking and dragging downwards with my clone tool, because that will actually work in small brush swipes. And I'm not worried about going all the way out to the outermost edges. I just want to get that dark line on the inner edge, because that gets into too much of the image where I want to, I can crop some of that off, but I don't want to crop all of that off. It's cropping off a little bit too much of the face. So I can just keep on reproducing these pixels. As long as I'm not changing the shape of her face by accidentally changing the tonal range, but this side of the face we're pretty safe for the most part. And then we start to get down here to the lips, and we're going to have to kind of be a little bit careful, and just remember we're going to be cropping some of this stuff off, so it's not the end of the world as long as we reproduce this properly. You got to reproduce the line of the lips too. Okay. So far so good. We got to fix some of this stuff down here. We can always come back and clean up any little discrepancies or inconsistencies. And if we zoom out, we can just take a really quick look, and there's some things that we need to kind of clear up there. There's some really harsh, abrupt changes that don't look so good. So let's go fix those. It starts to look a little bit better. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is going to get cropped right at the edge, so we'll see how much we can keep and how much we have to lose. Let's take our spot healing tool. Let's just fix some of that stuff up. And it's really tempting. Oh, that's a mistake. It's really tempting at the bottom, underneath the lips, to just start to paint right down there, but can't really do that and have it look good. So now we need to go up where this shadow is. It's not really a shadow. It's actually the haloing of the film where it was exposed and printed. And that's not exactly damage. It's just the way that the film was printed and peeled away from its contact. So let's just keep on reproducing these pixels with our clone tool in this case. And then here we have to start to be kind of careful as we get close to the eyelashes, so that when you create the eyelashes, you're extending them and you're not overlapping them in some weird way where they look like weird overlapping branches. See, that could be a problem. That's better though, and it actually extends her eyelashes and makes them a little bit longer looking. That's acceptable. But you don't want to start just creating a grove of eyelashes that look like, you know, like a grove of trees or something. So, all right. And take a look over the bottom, and we can do some similar stuff with that clone tool like we did on the right side of the face. We're going to kind of correct some of the line of that dark line on the bottom from where the print was. And we can make some lip adjustments here too. Okay, now let's look up here at the hairline. And basically you see what I'm doing is I'm just kind of doing an overall final sweep over my work, because now that I've kind of gone over everything, I can start to really hone in on things that I feel that need more attention, which I think is very important. And I feel like there's still some spotty places up here in that hairline that could be done better. So that's why I'm going back to them. And let's try my clone stamp tool. I'm going to lower the brush size so I can really kind of come in here and start to clean that up better. Let's lower the opacity a little bit, and then I can start to overlap some stuff without it being too heavy duty looking, so the changes aren't too significant, too fast. Okay, and let's zoom out again, take a quick peek. I don't like the way that looks right there. So I'm going to take my okay. All right. And then we're going to clean up some of the stuff that's up in here. And I'm still cleaning up what's in the hairline up here. Okay. And we are still cleaning up, and that looks fairly good. I think that'll probably be okay for the most part whenever we zoom back out. But the point is, I really want you to see the level of attention that I'm giving this. I'm not just sort of settling, and I'm making a final sweep for other little dots on the face. And you know, I'm not going to show you every single dot that I'm fixing, but I want you to go back and fix all of these, okay? And then we take like another look, and then there might be some little things down here like under the lip that I sort of overlooked. Like that needs to be fixed. It sticks out now like a sore thumb. Let's lower the size, and I'm using my clone stamp tool to fix that. And then we can fix some of this other dark stuff down here. Okay, and then basically we're just going to start wrapping this up, and you know, you could just keep going with this, and then this is sort of an overview of kind of what we've got.